Hello everyone and welcome to Body Bags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I am Sinema77, horror and cult film lover. And I was thinking really hard about what movie I really wanted to do for this week. And I was going through my whole library here trying to figure out what that was going to be. And I remembered a couple of weeks ago when I did the Microwave Massacre video, and I talked about how, I saw that as a child, and that was pretty much at the right time to watch that movie for me personally. And I think if I had seen it, as I got older, I saw it as an adult, I don't think I would have had the connection to it that I do. And this is another movie that it's the same thing. I saw this when I was a kid, saw it in the VHS days, and I think honestly, this is a movie that if I had seen it as a grown up, I really don't think I would have had the attachment to it. And that movie, well, you already know by the title, but we're talking about Bloodsuckers from Outer Space. I cannot believe Vinegar Syndrome put this out, and it looks good. It's, I mean, they did a great job on this. And I've heard people say in haul videos and things like that, where they talk about like, oh my God, I cannot believe that Vinegar Syndrome put the time and energy into this movie. But I'm surprised that they did. And, yeah, I'm glad that they did because I actually do enjoy this movie. This movie it's a horror spoof kind of a thing. It's horror comedy. But it's meant to be kind of a throwback to kind of like older, like 50s sci-fi horror movies and things like that. Invasion from space kind of films and things. And, let's see here. The movie is directed and written by Glen Coburn, and it was shot in Texas. And pretty much stars nobody. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but just, you got Thom Meyers, Laura Ellis, Robert Bradeen, Big John Brigham, and Cranny Coppenbarger, sorry. And, yeah, I mean, this thing come loaded. It's got, new 2K scan. It's got commentary track with writer-director Glen Coburn, actor Thom Meyers, and cinematographer Chad D. Smith. 34 years later, 50-minute making of documentary. Back to Bloodsucker Town, 15-minute locations featurette. I love when they do that stuff, like on YouTube, like when Adam the Woo does that, or, obviously Horror's Hollow Ground, Sean Clark, definitely. But let's see, Bloody Arm Rip 101, special effects featurette, still galleries featuring over 100 images from the director's personal collection, reversible artwork, and so on. So anyway, so yeah, I actually enjoyed this movie. I think, what year did this come out? Okay, 1984. So I would have been 7 years old when I saw this. So yeah, that probably would have been a good time to see this movie. And like I said, it's a horror film, but it's more of a comedy. It's I think what a lot of people would not like about this movie is that it might be just a little too silly. Like, it's like, oh, we know we're making one of those campy kind of movies. So, but the premise is kind of, it's kind of strange. There's this, there's a small town. Basically, it's in Texas, and they're, just regular people living in this small Texas kind of nowhere town and stuff. And like this wind would come in, kind of like, I kind of wonder if like maybe if M. Night Shyamalan watched this movie and that kind of gave him a little bit of inspiration for The Happening, because there's this wind that blows through, and it's never really explained what it is or what it does or how it works or any of that kind of stuff. But when people are caught up in this wind, this kind of like little windstorm, they start getting really sick and everything else, and they throw up all their blood, and then they turn into these bloodsuckers, kind of zombie type characters. But they're not the regular type that just go around like or any of that stuff. These guys, they pretty much they walk and talk. Some of them can run and stuff like that. And then we're introduced to our main character, who's named Jeff. He's basically working as a photographer for the local paper, and he's kind of like trying to figure out like his character is supposed to be this young guy who's trying to figure out like what direction he wants to take in life. And he's got like his I believe it's his uncle, who's actually, that's him there, the uncle and the aunt. They want him to basically learn how to farm and basically become a farmer so he could take over their farm when they retire. But Jeff is kind of like, I don't know if that's something I want to do. I kind of really want to, go out and see what my options are and all this other kind of stuff. And so they're like, well, we'll talk about it. So so Jeff is, he's frustrated. He's out driving around. His car breaks down. Then, he decides to take a tire iron to his car. He just bashes up his car and everything else. And he's, upset. Then this nice Trans Am pulls up beside him, and this girl, Lisa, is in the car. And apparently they, their deal of, instead of like smoking weed or, doing cocaine or any of that kind of stuff, their drug of choice is, I think it's like nitrous oxide or something, or it's just hydrogen or something. They just sit there and do that. Kind of like a Dennis Hopper and Blue Velvet kind of a thing. So the two of them, they, go, they have a fling, and they pretty much decide that they're going to be together. And meanwhile, at this testing facility, you got Jeff's brother, who's actually played by Glen Coburn, the director and writer. They're trying to figure out what the whole phenomenon is with the bloodsuckers and everything else. And it's like, to me, it was funny, as a little kid, it was funny. But they got the part where the zombies, the zombie creatures strapped to the table and all this stuff. And, it's like, you need to tell us, what's going on here. It's like, unstrap me and all this stuff. And then, Glen Coburn's character says, hey, why don't we try dissection? And the guy, I'll talk. So, as a little kid, that's funny. I know probably as an adult, people be like, oh God, that's stupid. But, as a kid, I thought it was funny. But anyway, so, as it goes on, like, the wind keeps sweeping through, more and more people are getting sick, and they're turning into these zombie creatures. And, at one point they, Jeff and Lisa, they go to his, uncle and aunt's place for dinner and find out that they've been taken over, and, they're starting to fight and all this other kind of stuff. And, the uncle's talking about, you need to join us. It's like, once you become, all you want is blood, and you suck. And Jeff is, it's like I said, this plays well to a little child. As an adult, it comes across as stupid, I know, but as a child, it's really funny. But he's all like, wait a minute. Well, first of all, you want me to work for the paper. Now you don't want me to work for the paper. Then you want me to become a farmer. Now you don't want me to become a farmer. Now you want me to become a bloodsucker. I can't deal with this. So they're fighting and everything else. And at one point, Jeff, he takes, what was it, axe, or I think it was machete. He takes a machete, cuts the uncle's arm off and stuff. And, he just, was like, you cut my fucking arm off, and like I said, as a kid, it was funny. It was just, hysterically funny. So anyway, so they're trying to figure out, like, what are they going to do? How are they going to stop this and everything else? And then meanwhile, you're kind of cutting back and forth between them and you got this general who basically, he's kind of like the, you've seen this character in like science fiction movies and stuff before. All he wants to do is blow shit up. He just, that's kind of like his answer for everything. I just want to blow everyone up, fuck them. I just blow them all up and stuff like that. And like the scientists are like, no, that's not the logical approach. This is what we would do, so on and so forth. And so anyway, so, they're trying to figure it all out, but more and more, like, as a matter of fact, Jeff is friends with the sheriff. Turns out the sheriff and his girlfriend, they're getting into kinky stuff. And at one point, they're in the shower. They start throwing up blood and everything else, and they become the zombies and all this stuff. And so, Jeff goes to see him, and, they're like, oh, no, not you too. You've been taken over and all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, we've been taken over and all this stuff. He's like, well, what's it like? Well, actually, it's kind of, this and that and all this stuff. So prepare and all this stuff. And the girl she breaks the fourth wall. She looks right at the camera. Oh God, I can't stand another kung fu scene. So, but, then you realize basically, like, the military goes into this small town, and there's actually a couple of chilling images in this movie, I think, personally. There's, they go into this town. It seems deserted, but you can see, like, on the rooftops and stuff like that, you see some of the zombie creatures kind of, looking, checking, and all this other kind of stuff. And, they see this woman dressed in white. She's, pure white, and she's wearing this long white flowing gown. It's kind of like, on the one hand, it's kind of sensual, but at the same time, it's actually really creepy the way it's shot, and kind of something about it. Then the whole town of, bloodsuckers basically come and, descend on them and rip them apart and stuff. And one of the chilling images is seeing this little girl, they're kind of like all the whole town's kind of like dogpiled on these soldiers. This little girl comes out and she's carrying like a severed arm and stuff like that. So there is actually a couple of chilling little moments in this, but so they're still trying to figure out what to do about this whole thing, and ultimately the general decides he's just going to nuke this little town. Well, you know, Jeff and Lisa, they're driving in the car and the car stalls, and so they're in the car, so they see that the wind's coming, so they roll up, the windows and all this other kind of stuff, and pretty much like the canister for the gas that they were inhaling and stuff breaks, and so it kind of like spews into the car. I guess because it mixes with the car or mixes with the air or something like that, it keeps it from affecting you or something like that. But ultimately, Jeff and Lisa realize that they're going to be okay, and this trigger happy general, he sets off a bomb. Bomb goes off and everything else. Then he's happy, and he's sitting there talking about how he's going to get medals and he's going to become this big shot and all this other kind of stuff. And then his right hand man comes in and basically tells him like, yeah, dipshit, you bombed the wrong town, so it's like, we're going to be killed for this and all this kind of stuff. So, but then you realize kind of like the Bloodsuckers are pretty much, they're fine, and they got their own little town, and pretty much anybody that comes in is going to get, chomped on. So, but anyway, like I said, I know this movie gets a lot of hate. I know, and like I said, I think if I had seen this as an adult, I probably really would not have been into this movie very much. I probably would have been like, yeah, this movie's just kind of really stupid. But I think it's another one of those deals where I saw it as a little kid and I enjoyed it because, it was just the right time to see a movie like that. It's silly, it's goofy, it's cartoony. When you're a kid, you love silly things, So I think that's why this movie has a soft spot in my heart. So, but anyway, that's pretty much going to do it. Yeah, I mean, this is, like I said, I'm really surprised, but pleased that Vinegar Syndrome gave this the full treatment and everything else. It looks good. It looks about as good as it's ever going to look. I mean, it doesn't look amazing, but like I said, this is probably as good as this movie's ever going to look. So, but anyway, though, I enjoy it, and hopefully somebody else might check this out. They might enjoy it too, or if you don't, at least show it to your kids. Your kids probably get a kick out of it. I don't know. So, but yeah. Anyway, that's going to do it. So. If anybody took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please like and subscribe to Body Bags. We do a weekly show. There's a different reviewer for every day of the week, and we got great guys doing great stuff. I'm the Saturday reviewer, and yeah, so this is going to be cool too, because next week, it's the week number 300 of the show, and you're going to have the OG crew coming in, and they're going to do reviews of movies. And then the next week we come back and we're going to do the remake. So I believe I'm doing Dark Water. So looking forward to that. So anyway, again, thank you for watching, and I appreciate it. Have a good night. Bye-bye.